Live from Ohio University, you're watching WOUB2, television for Athens County.
President Obama lays out the future of the country in his State of the Union address. We've got the Athens reaction.
The Athens bike path may be getting another extension. Find out where it will be heading this time.
And volunteers figure out the homeless count across Athens County. All this and more coming up on Athens Midday.
President Obama sets the stage for his administration's plan to unite the country. Good afternoon, I'm Connor Kiesel.
And I'm Emily Hanford. We have the complete coverage of the President's address, including local reaction to the President's message to the Union. The President unleashed his administration's plan for the future on Capitol Hill last night. His goals include increased spending for education, clean air technology, and a nationwide railway, noting that America lost its lead in transportation technology. The President also proposed a 5-year spending freeze for some domestic programs to reduce the deficit.
Would reduce the deficit by more than $400 billion over the next decade, and will bring discretionary spending to the lowest share of our economy since Dwight Eisenhower was president.
The President also emphasized the need for a bipartisan effort to create more jobs at home and better Social Security.
We must do it without putting at risk current retirees, the most vulnerable, or people with disabilities, without slashing benefits for future generations, and without subjecting Americans' guaranteed retirement income to the whims of the stock market.
Republicans and Democrats reacted to the President's proposals. Republicans questioned Mr. Obama's signing of certain laws during the past 2 years. In the Republican response, Congressman Paul Ryan said some laws called for an increase of government spending when more than 9% of the Americans remain on unemployment.
The facts are clear. Since taking office, President Obama has signed into law spending increases of nearly 25% for domestic government agencies, an 84% increase when you include the failed stimulus.
Both Republicans and Democrats recognized the victims of the shootings in Arizona at last night's speech. They wore black and white ribbons and left an empty seat in the chamber for Congresswoman Gabrielle Giffords. She watched the speech from a Houston hospital, where she's been in intensive care since Friday. Today, Giffords will move to a rehab facility in that same hospital. At last night's speech, Republican and Democratic congressmen sat together, typically with other members from their states. Usually, senators and representatives are divided in the House chamber by party. Local Democrats and students gathered at Walter Hall last night to watch the President's State of the Union address. Athens Midday reporter Heather Moore went to the watch party to see how Athens viewers reacted to the speech.
I want to print it so that either you or the State of the Union Party was hosted by Organizing for America, an organization funded by the Democratic National Committee. Local politicians joined college Democrats and some other students to watch. They support President Obama's goals, but would like to have had more details on how to get there. It was there in the news.
And they all deserve the chance to be fulfilled.
I think anytime you really hear any politician talking about specifics on how to cut budgets, good luck on getting specifics out of them.
As long as the president follows up these lofty goals with, and is able to get Congress to work with him to make that sort of an investment, then I think we'll get there. I think it was just a very hopeful speech.
And the students watching were very enthusiastic about President Obama's speech, but of course most of them were college Democrats. Watch tonight at 5:30 on WOUB's News Watch for more local reactions to the State of the Union address. Reporting live from the Athens Midday Newsroom, I'm Heather Moore.
Athens City and a number of other area schools are closed today because of icy conditions. Snowplows and salt trucks are treating the roads. Students get yet another day off because of this frigid weather. As the snow falls, it makes it become more difficult for motorists, particularly on hills and overpasses. Kurt Mayle, the City of Athens Street Maintenance Advisor, has advice on driving in this weather.
Standard push the clutch in, take power off the drivetrain. That way the wheel's not pushing the car.
To see current traffic and weather updates, go to athensroad.com. The search for a new federal hawking superintendent is coming to a close. The final 3 candidates offered public statements last night in a meeting open to the public. Athens MidDay reporter Liz McKinnon is live in the newsroom. Liz, the successful candidate will be facing some financial challenges.
That's right. Federal Hawking School District has been in fiscal emergency for almost 4 years. All 3 candidates applying for this position are looking to get out of this financial crisis. Each has a plan for the district. All are hoping to make a change. The candidates for the superintendent of Federal Hawking School District were interviewed a final time during last night's meeting. Principal Dan Wood, one of the candidates, says he plans to consolidate jobs to save money.
Well, I'm applying with a recommendation to the board that they create a different position, and it would be a superintendent/principal.
Science and math teacher Sonia White is taking a different approach.
Details, details, details.
Something that White thinks is key to improving the system's finances.
You have to have an ongoing accounting of what's going on with your finances. You have to keep an eye on it and not wait for the moment you're in an emergency.
Candidate John Rist, a teacher at Federal Hawking High School, brings a different idea to the table.
We have to keep the balanced budget so we're not ever get it back in fiscal emergency again. The other plan would be to improve test scores, because our test scores in some buildings are pretty low.
This room was open for any of the public to come for tonight's meeting. Despite the lack of attendance, the candidates were not discouraged.
I really don't believe that it's a sign that no one cares. I truly do not.
I think people are busy, and I think people trust the board members.
As for the outcome of who is selected, parents say it is a good group.
I think whoever they choose out of the 3 people, I think the other 2 will work well with that person because.
The school board is expected to select a new superintendent on February 3rd. Reporting for Athens MidDay, I'm Liz McKinnon.
If you missed the meeting and want to hear extended comments from FedHawk superintendent candidates, visit our website at athensmidday.com.
2 Ohio University students have to pay for classes they said didn't meet their expectations. Central Ohioans Joshua and Leeson Golden sued the school claiming 2 classes they took didn't meet the description and syllabus. Now, in a settlement, they've agreed to pay more than $4,000 in tuition. The university had countersued for more than $9,000 after the Goldens filed the lawsuit last year. OU denied claims that an instructor didn't show up and equipment failed, among other problems listed in the lawsuit. Counting the homeless in Athens County. The federal government set yesterday as the day for local communities to find out how many people don't have homes. In Athens County, no one was canvassing for the homeless. Instead, volunteers at organizations like Integrated Services of Appalachian, Ohio made phone calls. They were calling homeless shelters, hospitals, and other organizations in the area to find out how many homeless are staying there. The federal definition of homelessness leaves out some people.
So somebody who maybe is doubled or tripled up or staying with, temporarily staying with a family member wouldn't necessarily be counted in that 25 as homeless. Maybe they don't have the resources and don't, I like to say they're precariously perched.
The federal government mandates the count every 2 years. And we're counting the unemployed in Athens County as well. New numbers out today show the jobless rate in the county held steady in December, but was down from a year ago. Unemployment was at 9% in Athens County in December, but dropped to about 8% last month. Athens County is below the state's rate. About 9% of Ohioans were out of a job in December. The numbers show there were about 2,600 people unemployed in Athens County at the end of last year.
Bike riders in Athens County will be able to pedal a bit farther now that Athens County Commission has voted to extend the bike path. But Athens MidDay reporter Brad Evan tells us the race is now against the clock. Brad?
The Athens County Regional Planning Commission has less than a week to complete a grant proposal to purchase the land for the extension, but the deadline for getting the grant money is just days away.
Any other discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Okay, good luck.
With that vote, the Athens County Commission signals its support for the bike path extension.
It may have to be in their offices by February 1st, but we'll get it in if those other pieces come together.
Those other pieces include an independent appraisal of the 13 acres to be purchased.
We're assuming that the appraisal will be close to what the county auditor has the property valued at.
The Planning Commission will ask CSX, the owners of the property, to contribute the nearly $6,000 balance for the land.
The other 25% would either come from a donation from CSX with which they could get a tax break.
The bike path is Athens County's #1 tourist attraction, and expanding it nearly 1 mile is expected to cost nearly $700,000.
The expansion will connect Chansey with the existing bike path just south of the village. Athens Bicycle Shop co-owner Peter Kotsis sees this project as good news.
You know, it's something that allows people, I think it really elevates the quality of life that you experience.
This is the first hurdle for planners before construction can begin. But County Commissioner Larry Payne is optimistic.
If everything falls into place, these things you never know, but in the past we've had a pretty good track record of receiving these.
Now construction could begin as early as next summer and only take a few months. The next phase would include connecting Athens High School in the Plains to the nearly 20-mile cross-county path. Reporting live, Brad Evans, Athens Midday.
To see how the bike path will benefit Chansey, visit our website at www.athensmidday.com. A plea deal has finally been reached in the Athens shaken baby case.
And Russia's president takes action in response to the Moscow terror. There's a plea deal for an Athens man who was accused of shaking his 8-week-old son. 22-year-old Matthew Boyven pleaded guilty yesterday to a number of charges. Judge Michael Ward sentenced Boyven to 5 years in prison because of a history of domestic violence. Boyven had spent 11 months behind bars for a domestic charge when he pointed a loaded gun at his wife and daughter in 2009. Ward added 4 years to Boyven's sentence for violently shaking his infant son, which caused severe damages. The infant suffered with temporary blindness and brain damage. Ohio is switching its lethal injection drug from an anesthetic to one most associated with assisted suicides. A scarcity of the anesthetic caused the change. The Department of Rehabilitation and Correction says the state will use a single dose of pentobarbital. The drug is currently used to induce coma before surgeries and is related to a drug used to euthanize pets.
Ice in a gas line caused a house to explode in Fairport Harbor earlier this week. The Ohio Public Utilities Commission says the ice caused a regulator to fail, causing an explosion and fire. 15 homes and buildings were damaged, and several residents were forced to leave their homes. Most of them have returned to their houses. The agency will submit a report when the investigation is finished. At least 5 workers are dead and 16 trapped after an explosion at a coal mine in Colombia. The mine is in Sardinata, 250 miles northeast of the capital, Bogota. It's the same mine where a blast killed 32 workers in 2007. The city's mayor says rescue workers were unable to enter the mine due to a collapse. A Red Cross rescue chief says a buildup of methane gas is believed to be the cause.
Now following up on the deadly bomb blast at a Moscow airport. Russian news agencies say President Dmitry Medvedev has fired the country's transport police head following the bombing. 35 people were killed in Monday's explosion at one of the country's busiest airports. Medvedev has not yet given a reason for the firing. He has criticized the transport police for being passive. Fatal flaws in security were exposed as a result of the terrorist attack. Police violently broke up anti-government protests today in Cairo after activists protested for the second day in a row. Protesters' Facebook sites were partially blocked after they used the internet to call for fresh demonstrations. Police beat and arrested the demonstrators in downtown Cairo outside of the Journalists' Union. at the Weather Center to give us the full report. Jake.
Thanks. Current conditions outside right now are definitely a little bit slicker. There's not actually a lot of snow on the ground, but it's definitely cold enough out that you can see why the schools might have closed today because of the slick roads. Taking a look outside into the city, the view from the courthouse, it's 33 degrees, and you can kind of see a few snow flurries there, and they should pick up throughout the day, but the order of business right now is just cold. What that does mean is that it might be cool enough for things to stick to the ground. Current conditions, humidity is at 90%, wind 8 miles per hour, pressure at 29.79 inches, and visibility at 2 miles. So snow-wise, you know, you're pretty much in the clear right now, but you do want to make sure that you leave yourself a little extra space on those roads because anything that is getting down is kind of making the roads a little bit more icy. Moving to the almanac, daily average 39 for the high and 23 for the low. Record of 70 and record high of 70 and a record low of -8. So hopefully you weren't around when that happened. Sunrise at 7:40 a.m. and sunset at 5:41 p.m. So those days are getting just a little bit longer. Taking a look into the state here, Athens still the hot spot for the state. Cincinnati's 28, Dayton and Columbus both 27, Toledo 28, Cleveland it's 26, and in Canton we're looking at 30 degrees. Taking a look at the national map now. As you can see, the snow is kind of moving up towards the state. Most of the heavy stuff is going to come to the east of Athens, so we're looking at about maybe accumulating an inch throughout the day. But it is going to move on into the evening, and that's where it will hit the national stage, and we'll move off to the east coast in the next few hours, and certainly into tomorrow, where they'll get hit a lot harder looking into the next couple of days. So if you're planning a day out, 3 p.m. it'll be about 33 with snow flurries. Won't probably be enough accumulation for the kids to play in. 6 p.m. into 9 p.m. it's going to cool down. So overnight, any accumulation or precipitation on the ground is going to freeze. So overnight, you're looking at 21 degrees with flurries continuing to fall. So again, watch out for slickness tomorrow morning. Tomorrow the high is going to be 31, partly cloudy. It looks like that snow is going to taper off for the weekend. And looking at your 4-day forecast, Friday high of 36, and the snow flurries are going to finish up Saturday through Monday. Next week we could get a few more snow flurries, but the chances for the weekend are low. High on Saturday of 39, high on Sunday of 33, and Monday it's going to cool down a little bit to 30.
Yeah, winter's still in full force, it seems like, Jake.
Yeah, it looks like throughout the weekend we're going to get mostly just clouds, but there is still a chance for precipitation through Monday.
Definitely. Thanks, Jake. Musician Ben Folds is here tonight for a stop on his Lonely Avenue tour.
Details on that event and other happenings around the area in today's community calendar. Sports anchor Gabriella DeLuca joins us now.
Gabriella, definitely men's basketball in need of a rebound after the weekend events.
That's right. Hopefully they get that rebound this weekend. Ohio men's basketball is hosting the Eastern Michigan Eagles tonight for their 65th game against each other. This is OU's opening game in the Western Conference and are looking to improve their overall MAC standings. OU's DJ Cooper will go head-to-head against Brandon Beaudry, and both of them just so happen to be two of the best players in the MAC Conference. Cooper is ranked as the third best player, averaging 18 points a game, whereas Beaudry is ranked second with 20 points per game. The Bobcats lead the long series 42-22. Men's basketball is hoping to improve their overall MAC standings in their game tonight. The Ohio men's basketball team is lagging behind when it comes to representing OU in the Eastern MAC Conference. Buffalo and Bowling Green are leading the division, each with 4 wins and 2 losses. Buffalo has 11 wins and 6 losses in total, making them the leaders overall. Ohio comes in last place in the division with 1 MAC win and 4 losses. In the Western Conference, Ball State is leading the group, while Toledo is currently in last place. The Lady Bobcats will be heading to Ypsilanti to challenge the Eagles. In last year's meeting in Athens, the Bobcats lost by 3 points to the Eagles and are looking to get revenge this season. So far this season, the Lady Bobcats are 0 for 3 on Wednesdays, and this game marks the 51st meeting for the Bobcats and Eagles. There are always heated matchups in the TVC Ohio this time of year. Last night was no exception as Nelsonville York invaded McAfee Gymnasium at Athens High. Athens Midday reporter Justin Sampson was there for this crucial late season contest.
It was a tale of two guards down the stretch as the Bulldogs' Dean Maffin and the Buckeyes' Casey Cox paced their teams.
Usually you know when you're feeling it. Kind of got the green light there, just making things happen.
It was a night where the shorthanded Bulldogs needed a home win against a rival. The senior guard's 23 points answered the call, helping fuel Athens to a 50-34 victory over Nelsonville York. The win pushes Athens to 6-8 on the year, while the Buckeyes drop to 4-8. Head coach Jeff Skinner calls the win critical and says a league title is within reach.
We got to take care of ourselves, and we got to just keep plugging away. There's no secrets at this point in the season.
Athens got off to a quick lead, but the Buckeyes cut the lead to 5 heading into halftime. In the third quarter, the Bulldogs outscored their opponents 15-4. After jumping out to another big lead, Athens played to preserve it. Maffin had a big hand in the second half success and says he needs to match that effort to help his team make its postseason push.
I've got to step up, I got to bring the team together. I'm just trying to kind of boost the energy a little bit and just get everybody back in it.
Maffin said if he had one message for his teammates for the rest of the season, it's simply don't get discouraged. This is the most important stretch of the schedule thus far, and now is the time to shine. Reporting for Athens Midday, I'm Justin Sampson.
The Bulldogs have a 2-day break before traveling to Vinton County on Friday. The Logan Chieftains had a victory over the Alexander Spartans 82-67 last night. The Chieftains erased a 10-point deficit with 3:16 left to play to force overtime and score the win. In the fourth quarter, Logan was behind by double digits and somehow managed to come back. Logan forced Alexander to get 35 turnovers, and 13 of those were in the fourth quarter and 7 more in overtime. In that overtime, Logan outscored the Spartans 15-0. In fact, this is the second game in a row that the Chieftains have come from behind and won. The number 1 ranked Ohio State Buckeyes beat number 12 ranked Purdue 87-64 last night. OSU's William Buford scored 19 points and Jared Solinger had 17. At halftime, OSU was up by 20 points. By the second half, the Buckeyes shot 55% from the field and hit 11 of the 19 three-pointers. The win put the Buckeyes in the lead by 2 games in the Big Ten. This big win also evened out the series, giving the Buckeyes and the Boilermakers 82 wins each. The Columbus Blue Jackets faced an unfortunate loss to the Anaheim Ducks last night. The Blue Jackets forward Derek Dorsett had a boarding penalty called against him in the first period, which resulted in 2 goals within the first 2 minutes of the infraction. Later on in the first period, the Ducks were forced with a few minor penalties, but Columbus was unable to take advantage of them. The pace picked up in the third period when Anaheim got the game-winning goal. The Blue Jackets were able to score 2 goals, but ended up losing 3-2 to the Ducks. The Pittsburgh Penguins were able to chalk up another win, and this time it was without the help of 2 of their star players. The Penguins won 1-0 against the New York Islanders without Evgeny Malkin and Sidney Crosby. The team is learning how to win games with defense, and especially with their all-star goalie, Marc-Andre Fleury. Fleury didn't let 1 goal in, which led to his 18th career shutout, and only the second game this season that the Penguins only scored 1 goal. Craig Adams scored low on the left side of the net for the Penguins in the third period. The Cleveland Cavaliers are setting records, that's for sure, but not in a good way. The Cavs set a franchise record for the most consecutive road losses with 22 last night against the Boston Celtics. Last night's loss also marks the team in 18 consecutive game loss period. With a tough stretch of games coming up, the Cavs had a chance to break the all-time mark for consecutive losses, which they happen to already own. Cleveland lost 24 straight games spanning 2 seasons between 1981 and 1982. So hopefully those Cavs can get it together. I know they're playing Miami in the upcoming week, so LeBron.
That didn't go too well last time.
No, I know you had some making up to do as well.
That's right, both teams, I don't know.
Tough times in Ohio sports as of late. Now from one team doing a lot of losing to a fan of a winning team that lost his job. You may have heard about the Green Bay fan who was fired from a Chicago car dealership for wearing a Packers tie to work. Well, now Packers supporter John Stone is back in luck and still with a job in the Windy City. His new boss at Hollywood Chevy is pretty happy. Stone's already sold at least half a dozen vehicles from buyers as far as San Diego, and the boss has made it clear he can wear whatever tie he likes. An Athens housing complex is shifting from students to professionals. Tune in to Newswatch tonight to see how the change will affect business.
And tune into Athens Midday tomorrow to find out why one of Court Street's staple fast food restaurants is closed. Thanks for watching and have a great night.